Hey guys, welcome to Young and Restless Gossip YouTube channel. Today's topics: the rinse YNR December 1st, Kane gives Victor everything, pushing Jack toward a radical Jabot shutdown. Some days in Genoa City roar with conflict. Others whisper with tension so fine you only recognize the sound after the tremors hit. December 1st wasn't a roar, it was a low, surgical hum. The kind that slides beneath the skin and rearranges the blueprint of a town before anyone realizes something irreversible has begun. At the center of that hum stood Kane Ashby. A man who has spent years swinging between redemption and ruin. He walked into the storm with the steady gait of someone who knows he is about to hand over something explosive, something capable of rerouting rivalries that have defined entire eras of power. And waiting for him was the only man in Genoa City who feeds on information, the way sharks feed on blood in the water. Victor Newman, the Black Knight, a master craftsman of empire, a collector of leverage like others collect rare art. Kane brought him everything, and everything in Victor's hands is never just paperwork, it's a weapon. Across town, in an office lined with family legacy and half-shattered peace, Jack Abbott would soon feel the first pulse of an earthquake he did not yet know was coming. The war between Jack and Victor has shaped landscapes, burned bridges, and redrawn loyalties for decades. But this was a new front, and it was coming for the very bones of Jabot. Kane's burden, the gift that should never be gifted. Kane didn't come to Victor out of greed, ambition, or revenge, not entirely. Kane came because he had information. And information in the wrong hands had the power to crush Jabot, destabilize the Abbotts, and even rewrite the corporate ecosystem of the entire Midwest. But Kane wasn't thinking about ecosystems. He was thinking about survival, his own, his family's, and maybe even his soul. Genoa City has a way of chewing up men like Kane and spitting them out at moments when they least expect the blow. The documents he carried, leaks, internal strategy briefs, embedded correspondences, and a dossier of Jabot's upcoming R&D vulnerabilities, were damning not because they were explosive, but because they were true. Victor looked at the thick folder with the same calm appreciation he might give a perfect chessboard before the opening move. Kane spoke with the urgency of a man confessing a crime. This is everything, Victor. Everything you need to take Jabot apart piece by piece. Victor didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He simply inhaled like a predator who has scented a familiar prey. Good, he said, in that quiet timbre that has toppled CEOs. Let us begin. And in that instant, Kane knew he couldn't take it back. He had crossed a line no Abbott, no Chancellor, no Winters ever crossed intentionally. He had voluntarily handed the Black Knight a nuclear option. The question wasn't whether Victor would use it. It was how, and how fast. Jack Abbott, the man who wakes to cracks in the foundation at the Abbott estate. Jack stood in his office surrounded by framed testaments to family pride, photos of his father, relics of past triumphs, and Jabot products that once represented hope. Yet there was a restlessness in him. A simmer that has been building over months of sabotage, corporate espionage, and internal fracture. When Kyle betrayed him earlier this year, when Ashley spiraled into her identity crisis, when Billy teetered between self-destruction and reinvention, Jack kept stitching every wound closed. But today, those stitches felt like they might give way. He sensed something was wrong before anyone called. It was the instinct of a man who has survived decades of Newman assaults and lived to tell the tale. Jack knew Victor's patterns, like a map etched into muscle memory, but he didn't. Yet no. Kane had handed Victor a key that unlocked vulnerabilities Jack hadn't even accounted for. When the call finally came, from an internal Jabot auditor breathlessly reporting a sudden, catastrophic breach of strategy, Jack didn't shout, didn't collapse, didn't even flinch. He simply whispered, Victor. And in that whisper, history trembled. Victor's new war, precision, not pyrotechnics in years past. Victor might have gone for the jugular, hostile takeovers, media leaks, aggressive acquisitions. But this time, Victor played a different game. The war wasn't overt. It was surgical. A slow bleed. A strangulation done in silence, using Kane's documents. He launched a coordinated operation. 1. Quiet pressure on Jabot's suppliers, contracts suddenly renegotiated, shipment priority inexplicably delayed, raw material costs mysteriously spiking. 2. Strategic whispers to two major investors, whispers that painted Jabot as unstable, risky, led by a man who was, according to insider sources, on the verge of stepping down. 3. Reverse engineering the R&D exposure Kane provided, turning Jabot's most promising innovation into a liability by pushing Newman's subsidiaries into the same space. 6 months ahead of schedule. Victor didn't need to burn Jabot. He needed Jack to fear it was burning. Fear makes radicals of even the most seasoned warriors. Kane, the aftermath of a dangerous choice. After leaving Victor's office, Kane wandered the streets with the expression of a man who had swallowed something poisonous. He replayed every moment in his head, each more haunting than the last. Did he betray Lily's legacy? Did he betray Jill's trust? Did he betray himself most of all? His phone buzzed with messages he ignored, texts from friends, unanswered calls from colleagues, automated notifications from banks and newsletters and delivery apps, but one message stood out, a single text from Billy, Kane. Whatever you're doing, stop now, you don't know what you're messing with. Kane deleted the message. It was far too late. Ashley Abbott, the ghost in Jack's decision-making. Meanwhile, Ashley, recovering, rebuilding, resolidifying after months of internal fragmentation, felt the Abbott family structure vibrating like a glass on the edge of a table. She knew Jack had been juggling too much. She knew Victor was circling, and she knew Jabot's future was more fragile than Jack wanted to admit. During a tense meeting with Jack, she pressed him, "What aren't you telling me?" Jack hesitated, not because he wanted to hide anything, but because he feared speaking the truth aloud might make it real. Ashley watched him with scientist's precision and sisterly intuition. "Is it Victor?" Jack exhaled. A long, brittle, defeated exhale. "He's found a way in. A serious way." Ashley felt the air shrink. "Then we contain it. We fight it." Jack shook his head. "This time, it may take more than fighting." Ashley's eyes narrowed. "What are you saying?" Jack said nothing, but the silence screamed, "Shut down, radical, unthinkable." The radical idea, Jack's most extreme move in decades. Jack Abbott has always believed Jabot was more than a company, it was bloodline, purpose, identity. But when he looked at the numbers, the projections, the vulnerability matrix Kane's leak triggered, when he listened to the fear in his legal team, the strain in his COO's voice, the caution in his board's tone, he realized something chilling. If Victor moved quickly enough, Jabot could collapse before Jack could fire a single defensive shot, unless he did something unprecedented, a voluntary, temporary Jabot shutdown. Not bankruptcy, not liquidation, but a radical freezing of all operations to prevent Victor from gutting the company while it remained exposed. Freeze research, freeze distribution, freeze onboarding, freeze production, fortify the infrastructure, fortify the data vault, fortify the legal front, fortify the supply chain. It was corporate hibernation, an act no Abbott would normally dare to imagine. Ashley stared at him as he explained, "Jack, shutting down Jabot would send shockwaves. Investors would panic. Competitors would swoop in. The press would tear us apart." "I know. So why even consider it?" Jack looked out the window, eyes glazed with the weight of 50 years of Abbott history. "Because if I don't, Victor will burn us to the ground." Jill Abbott's fury, the woman who knows both Victor and Kane too well. When Jill got wind, through channels she refuses to disclose, of Kane's meeting with Victor, she reacted with a fury that could power a mid-sized city. She stormed into Chancellor Winters like a monsoon, barking orders, demanding answers, threatening to skin Kane alive and stuff Victor into a filing cabinet where he belongs. On the phone with Jack, she was even more explosive. "Tell me you're not letting Victor run you off the battlefield." "Jill, it's not like that." "Like hell it isn't. Kane gave him something, didn't he?" "What did that fool do?" Jack's silence confirmed everything. Jill exhaled, slow and deadly. "Jack, don't shut down Jabot. That's exactly what Victor wants you to think you have to do. And if it's the only way to save the company, then you're fighting the wrong war." The city reacts, rumors, panic, whisper networks. By midday, whispers about Jabot began threading through coffee shops, boardrooms, salons, and society luncheons. "Something's wrong at Jabot. Victor's making moves. Jack's lost control. Ashley's back but fragile. The Abbotts are imploding again. Kane's mixed up in this somehow." At society, bartenders exchanged gossip. At Crimson Light's customers spoke in hushed tones. At Newman Enterprises, even mid-level staff sensed Victor was gearing up for one of his signature coups. Jabot stock wobbled. Newman stock twitched. Chancellor Winters held its breath. The entire city felt unstable, as if every person had been placed on a seesaw. Victor Newman was gently nudging with his foot, and Kane? He watched the tremors from afar, hands shaking, conscience screaming.